What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one we're going to talk a little bit about the quarterback competition like I mentioned yesterday. That today I want to talk about, as we are a week away from training camp, what are we looking for? And of course, the biggest conversation surrounding the Colts is the quarterback competition. So in this one, we're going to look at that quarterback competition and we're going to look at everything that goes into it, a detailed view ahead of what we're going to see in training camp and in the preseason. Of course, we have no idea what the playing time is going to look like in the preseason, who's going to be quarterback one in preseason game one. That'll be interesting as we go into it. Of course, Daniel Jones got more reps throughout this offseason because AR ended up having to sit out for a little while. And him taking those number one reps, will that make him QB1 going into training camp? Seemingly, that's kind of the way it seems, is that he'll be quarterback one. But I personally think Anthony Richardson's going to be fine as we go into training camp and start to ramp up. I don't have any inside information. I just think, by the time we get into padded practice and we really start to get going, and he gets into his own, I think he'll be just fine going into it. So as we get into this, right, you start talking about quarterbacks, of course, you have to talk a little bit about the offense, right? So looking at what Steichen has done with Hurts, Herbert, and Anthony Richardson, right? And the things that he's done, right? The things that he likes to do, of course, mobility and dual threat ability. High priority in this offense. Arm strength in terms of the vertical passing game. High importance in this offense. Processing and RPO execution, of course, there's a lot of RPO, so of course that's an important part of it, but not so much important as like the dual ability. And the dual ability helps out with the RPO game, right? The toughness and physicality, of course, that's always important. Accuracy on short and intermediate throws, and of course that's one thing that Anthony Richardson definitely has to work on, whereas Daniel Jones, kind of the opposite. Daniel Jones struggles. He can throw the deep ball. It's the accuracy on the deep ball that he struggles with. Of course, he can hit, the short to intermediate area. So it's a little bit of role reversal there. Little give, little take. Decision making has to be high priority in this offense. A lot is put on the quarterback in terms of the decisions that he's allowed to make, keeping the ball, where he's gonna, the routes that he's gonna put guys on, where he's gonna go with the ball. Right, a lot goes in to being the quarterback of this offense. And then, of course, durability. Very important to QB in a run usage offense. So, and of course, that's been what Anthony Richardson has probably struggled with the most, right? He's had his ups and downs, but of course, the durability has been an issue. Now, when you look at each of these things from one quarterback to the other, right? Anthony Richardson versus Daniel Jones. In terms of arm strength, kind of like I mentioned, Anthony Richardson is elite, like top tier vertical thrower, somebody who can get the ball downfield at will. Like the first touchdown of the season last year for the Colts against the Texans, the throw to Alec Pierce, one of the most insane throws of all time. He slipped and he had barely gathered himself. He just ripped the ball like 68 yards in the air. It's unreal, right? And then Daniel Jones again, good, not elite going down the field. Accuracy, I think, is more of the question when it comes to Daniel Jones down the field. He can yak the ball down the field. He's a good athlete, right? Both of these guys, good athletes. Anthony Richardson, of course, an elite athlete, 4.4 speed. Somebody who, of course, is a powerful runner as well, running people over at the goal line is kind of his trademark at this point. And then again, Daniel Jones, like sneaky fast, right? And we all know why he's sneaky fast. But it seems like people forget, right? Vanilla Vic, dude can move. So he can get out there. But he's not like the athlete that Anthony Richardson is, right? And the designed run threat, Anthony Richardson, of course, exceptional. He can run the QB power, zone read, etc. He can do everything as a runner from the quarterback position, and we've seen that. Then you have Daniel Jones. He can run. He's just not as dynamic. He's not as huge of a playmaker with his legs as Anthony Richardson. But if there's room to run, he's gonna get some yards for you. Daniel Jones can move. Right, RPO execution. Just like a lot of things, Anthony Richardson coming into the NFL raw, but improving in this offense. Going to continue to improve. Going to continue to get more experience and continue to get better with the people that are around him and with his control of it. And then, of course, you have Daniel Jones, who has a lot of experience, right? In terms of decision making, that's one thing that people knock for Daniel Jones in pretty much every aspect of his game is his decision making. So at the end of the day, that experience will definitely help, and Anthony Richardson could certainly learn some things by watching how he kind of operates through the experience that he's had in RPO style offenses. But overall, when you look at it, because of Anthony Richardson and what we've talked about so far, like if Anthony Richardson continues to get better in the RPO offense, like just like Jalen Hurts, it could be very, very difficult to stop with Jonathan Taylor in the backfield with him, right? So the decision making, of course, Anthony Richardson needs growth. He needs experience. He has a tendency. See, I feel like he's good at reading, but almost too good. Like he knows where he wants to go with the ball. So that's almost an issue, like almost predetermined where you want to go with the ball. And he gets there too soon sometimes, right? And so the throws are out in front of his receivers. It looks like a bad throw where he's really thrown to the right spot. He's just getting there too soon, especially with how hard he throws the ball. So that's something to continue to look at. And is he going to grow in that area? Can he continue to grow and get better in those areas? And I think training with the people that he was training with in the offseason, I think that can definitely help. And then, of course, Daniel Jones, prone to mistakes under pressure. Some Carson Wentz type plays in his career. There's no mistaking that. And that's, again, a lot of the bad about Daniel Jones that people say about him is because of that. Then you have processing speed, right? That's something that Anthony Richardson is developing with. We kind of just talked about that. For Daniel Jones, bit inconsistent, often late on reads is one of the notes or one of the common themes that I was finding through everything that I was looking for, trying to get as much information as possible. And there's no denying it when you watch. As much as I like Daniel Jones, he is late on reads at times. And sometimes I wonder, because of the talent that was around him, because of the offensive line not able to block for him, like how I just I give him some leeway because he's been with the Giants. That's really what that is, because the Giants has been just not great for a while. I give him a little bit of leeway, so we'll see what could possibly happen there. But durability, of course, again, both these guys, a bit of a concern. Anthony Richardson missed most of his rookie year. He missed some time last year for multiple reasons. And then for Daniel Jones, he's also had different injuries in his career, multiple injuries in the past 3 seasons. So both of these guys seemingly, injury prone. And you just need a guy to be able to be tough enough. You need a guy to be able to be durable enough and be able to stay on the field for you long enough for you to be able to win games. Ceiling in Steichen's system, of course, with Anthony Richardson, it's incredibly high. Anthony Richardson, the kind of athlete that he is, the skills that he possesses, the talent that he possesses, the raw ability that he possesses is incredible. So in Steichen's offense, like he is without a doubt, maybe the best fit that has ever been created. He just has to be able to put the pieces together, right? Yeah, at some point, the player has to take accountability and the player has to take responsibility and be able to get things done. And that's going to fall on Anthony Richardson in his third season. With Daniel Jones, of course, the kind of athlete that he is, it definitely helps to create a lot of the same things that you're trying to get from Anthony Richardson, but there are just different ways that Anthony Richardson can do things that Daniel Jones can't. And so the ceiling just a little lower because Anthony Richardson really like special type of athlete. He just has to be able to stay on the field and continue to develop. Right now, the intangibles, when you look at it, of course, Anthony Richardson has a strong locker room presence. We've talked about that. The guys love him. So it's hard to see a place where this goes in like if this goes in a way where Anthony doesn't win the competition, something really is going wrong, right? And so I think overall, like the locker room in a lot of ways can determine who is going to end up being the starting quarterback. So at the end of the day, I think that edge possibly goes to Anthony Richardson from that aspect. Of course, Daniel Jones been a good leader, been over there with the Giants, says the right things in the media, but you know, he just hasn't really elevated the Giants to where people expected him to, being the number 6 overall pick. But again, a lot of things going wrong. People leave the Giants and get better immediately. So don't want to hold that too hard against him now. The leadership traits with Anthony Richardson, it's confidence, right? Anthony Richardson is incredibly confident in himself at all times. That's one thing that's been clear throughout his career, through the ups and downs. He continues to just be confident that he's going to be able to figure it out and be a star in the NFL. And with Daniel Jones, what you're looking for there is consistency, right? Somebody, Daniel Jones, through all the ups and downs of playing in New York and all the winning and lose, or all the the losing over there in New York, and the lack of winning and everything that's gone on, just comes in, same guy day after day, right? Leading by example in that way, and that's a good thing, right? The consistency of showing up every day for the people around you and being who you're expected to be, right? Like it's a privilege to have expectations, and with quarterbacks, that's especially true. They have so much expectations. Showing up every day as a person you're expected to be, and really showing up and being able to be a leader for everybody and leading by example is a great way to lead. I'm completely with that. That's something that I practice in my life, and currently am working on continuously getting better at. So from that aspect, like both of those ways of leadership work, because you know with Anthony Richardson, consistently confident, right? That confidence can spread throughout the team. Now, as you continue to go through everything that goes into this quarterback competition, right? The offensive fit breakdown, right? Anthony Richardson is the ideal prototype for Shane Steichen's offense. Now, why does he fit? Richardson is physically the closest quarterback to Jalen Hurts or Cam Newton in terms of power, speed, and downfield arm. Steichen's offense thrives on QB read options, play action bombs, post snap reads, and RPO looks. And Richardson opens up true 11 on 11 football. Defenses must account for his legs on every snap, which is that's why you draft Anthony Richardson in this offense. What we just said right there, that's why you draft him. He is the prototype for this. Now, of course, the concerns still learning, processing, and timing in the short game, and his accuracy in the short game. I think people would back off of him in the short game if he could hit those passes. He's generally a little high on the short game, right? Anything from the line of scrimmage to about 12 yards, he's generally a little bit high, even a little bit past 12 yards. So of course, he's got to rein that in. Hopefully, through his offseason training, he was able to do just that. Right now, he needs reps to improve his rhythm, passing, and blitz handling. And of course, that comes with experience. That's one thing Daniel Jones has on him. Durability, his play style exposes him to hits. Steichen will need to manage this with smarter design. And of course, the quarterback is the one that's out there, so he's got to be smart with it as well. But it'll be interesting to see what number of between the tackle runs do we see. Probably not a whole lot. It's probably all designed to go to the outside, unless they try to contain the outside and he makes a cut inside, but then just avoid contact at all costs, right? So overall, Richardson is tailor-made for Steichen's system. He has the elite tools and a high development ceiling. If healthy, he could become the best version of what Steichen built in Philly. Right, we talk about that so much. That powerful offense, an incredible quarterback, incredible athlete at quarterback, and the things that he's able to do. Anthony Richardson can replicate that. We just have to see him be able to get on the field and be able to have the chance to do just that. Okay, now Sorry, keep looking up. I'm currently, as I'm recording this, also watching the home run derby. This is the final round, and it's very close what's happening right now. But Daniel Jones, functional but limited fit. This is why he could work out, right? He has enough mobility to run bootlegs, zone reads, and move the pocket, right? So the different ways that Anthony Richardson's mobility helps, we're talking about the same thing with Daniel Jones. He can be used in a Jared Goff-like play action game if the run game is dominant, which anytime in Jonathan Taylor's career when he's getting 23 plus carries in a game per game, we're winning more often than not. And the run game is able to get going and is able to dominate. And Jonathan Taylor is able to make plays. And in that case, the RPO game and the play action game can have a big effect, especially when you look at the receivers that we have. And now we have Tyler Warren, right? And then, of course, the running back out of the backfield. So that play action could be very handy, right? Smart enough to execute quick game and RPO reads when protected. So, again, when protected, that's going to be the interesting thing here, is looking at, like, if Daniel Jones does play, like, how does he perform differently here than he did with the Giants, right? With the Giants, seemingly our offensive line is better. Running back, they had Saquon Barkley. We have Jonathan Taylor. But then receivers, like our current receiver room, better than anything he ever had with the Giants. So, I think he could be better. He could be better protected, and he could be helped out more in that regard. So those are reasons why he could work. Now, reasons why he doesn't fully fit. Again, injury prone, but so is Anthony Richardson. So there's that. He has a history of neck and leg injuries, which of course is not ideal for a run-heavy QB offense. He doesn't push the ball downfield with confidence or accuracy consistently. We've mentioned that a few times. And then he struggles under pressure and takes too many sacks. Steichen's system requires QBs to be decisive. And that's going to be the thing. Like, he's going to have to be able to make the decision. You got to make a decision. You have guys around you now. You're going to probably be protected for an extra half a second longer than you were before. You got to stop watching what's happening in front of you and start looking down the field. I think that's the biggest issue is in his career. He's never really had the time to be able to look down the field. He's trying to evade the rush. He's trying not to get killed in the pocket. And I think that can change here. Now, while Daniel Jones has some traits that would work with his athleticism, his experience, he also lacks the explosive traits in the ceiling and the health profile that Steichen likely wants. You would need to significantly tone down the QB run game and explosive design elements to suit him. And that again, you would have with Anthony Richardson, you can design 8 runs in a game, and then he could take off on a pass play or an RPO play, 4, 5, 6 more times, right? But with Daniel Jones, you're probably hoping he's never going to get more than 6 runs in a game, 7 runs in a game most, because of his injury history, right? So overall, of course, Anthony Richardson is the better fit overall. Like, scheme fit goes to Richardson. Developmental ceiling goes to Richardson. Play style alignment goes to Richardson. Durability, they're both a health hazard at that point. The floor right now, slight edge to Jones. He has more experience, hasn't been able to get anything going with the Giants, so that's really what the edge is there. But again, slight edge to Jones. Ceiling long term, a massive edge towards Anthony Richardson. Again, if he figures it out, dude, oh my gosh. If he figures it out while still a member of the Colts, we are so back. So back. Okay, that's what I hope happens, right? So if you're Steichen, you want a raw but moldable physical freak like Richardson, not a conservative, injury-prone quarterback like Jones. Jones can survive in Steichen's offense, but Richardson can thrive and potentially become an MVP-level weapon if he develops mentally and stays healthy. So all in all, when you look at this, it's going to be so interesting to see how it works with Anthony coming back from the injury and through the training camp practices and the joint practices and the preseason games. Anthony Of course, last year's percentage, completion percentage came way down. It ended up with a 47.7% completion percentage in 2024. And then when you look over at Daniel Jones, right, over 70 NFL starts, he's 64.1% completion, not terrible. 70 touchdowns, 47 interceptions, which through 70 starts, only 70 touchdowns, not great. 47 interceptions. The ratio there, not incredible. But he also has 2,179 rushing yards. So, again, the talent has been devoid in New York. So, little give and take there. So what could he possibly do with us? Will he show out in training camp? Right? Is Daniel Jones going to take the reins? That's really, again, we've talked about it so much. That's what we're in training camp. I want somebody to win the job. I want one of these guys. I don't care. I'm at a point I don't care. I would rather be Richardson. I think long term, having Richardson become great is the best option for Colts Nation long term. But I just want one of these quarterbacks to really take the reins of this team, take the reins and show why they're the better quarterback and do it throughout all of training camp into the season. That's what I need to see, right? And I'm going to be in person in training camp for 4 practices, right? What is it, August 9th, 10th, 11th, and then the joint practice on the 14th. I will for all 4 of those while I'm visiting family. It's also a bit of a business trip. So I'm excited to be able to go see that with my own eyes, and I'm going to be able to, whatever I see, I'm reporting back to you guys. I'm giving you guys as much information as I possibly can and as many updates as I possibly can on what I'm seeing, how the competition's looking, how's Anthony looking, how's Daniel looking, how's the offense look, the defense look. I'm going to get as much and pay attention to as many things as I can possibly pay attention to while I'm there so that I can get you guys as much information as possible. We're going to continue to talk about the different rooms, right? The running back room, the different competitions, the D2 training camp, and then training camp starts, and we can finally start talking about football in the beginning of the season, right? And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.